white people who have lived and worked in a non-white space. They know what it's like to be a minority.
Say what? Hey, I've heard this a lot.
Yeah.
So this is a consistent one. And again, as we talked about in the Say What, we want to say things that are kind of what we would articulate as a bit out there, but also some things that are just naturally kind of come out, and we want to be as helpful as possible.
Right.
I always bristle at this when that's engaged. And my thought is usually like, yes, you're thinking about minority in terms of numbers as opposed to experience, right?
Okay.
So it's what is it? Quantitative as opposed to a qualitative analysis.
Right.
And there's just particularly in the American context, there's a completely different life that actual minorities have experienced, right? White people, although they are the majority, even if they're the numeric minority in an area, they still get to carry with them the tag of being a part of the majority, and they get to carry that around with them, right? So when I think about it, it doesn't tell the story. I think it's an unfair assessment of what minority looks like, because it's really they don't have the experience. And I mean, here's the thing: let's take that white person and move them out of that neighborhood. Do they remain a minority? No, they're a majority, right? Now, black person, move them out
American
of
meta context.
I grew up in a predominantly white space, which made me the numeric minority. But any place I went in America, no matter, even if I was in a black space, I was still considered a minority.
A minority.
Yeah. So that's
where you're at.
My thought.
This is an interesting one.
Yeah.
To me, because I think that there are multiple minorities. So, like, I think particularly these days about, I don't know, qualitative versus quantitative.
Yeah, that's the word.
So
I don't
thinking
know if those are right though.
No, I think you said them right. Yeah. But I think like white women might feel a qualitative minority-like experience in some spaces that can help them relate to black people or minorities. Not completely,
sure,
but qualitative experiences. Like this is basically the intersectionality conversation.
Yeah, you're getting
yeah. So I see why it's a natural thing for someone to say, but what is it giving though? Like, is it giving like dismissive, or like what makes it feel like
the right thing to say,
like the wrong thing to say?
Like
okay.
What? Like why do I feel it's the wrong thing to say?
Like because I can make a case for why someone might say it, even if I don't fully agree with it. I can see the rationale.
We'll make the case,
but I just made it like that. There are a series of versions where where people step into contexts that are where they feel they're the other or they're the abnormal in that context. And they have at least a microcosm of a feeling or experience about what that feels like, and can say, you know what, I didn't like it. I didn't like the 3 days that I was that I was in XYZ context, and I was the only American, and it was all whatever other country or whatever, right? Yeah. Like, and they can. I think people can begin to get a taste of what it might be like, and so they may say something like this statement. They say, "I think I get it a little bit," right? So I can see where it might come from, but I think what makes it problematic. Well, that's what I want. But what makes it a problematic statement is that I'm thinking, is it dismissive? Does it feel low key dismissive, or does it come across as dismissive, whether it's meant to or not, or like what's the foul?
Yeah, well, and I think that's part of what I think if you bring intersectionality into it, you create levels to it. But most of the time when people are saying that to me, they're trying to create connection to me in a racial context.
Empathize in some way.
Right. They're not going, I was a white woman, and so I know what it's like to be a woman in society and be a minority. They're going, I was a white person in a place that had all black people or Asian people, whatever it was, and I was a minority. Yeah. And I think they're trying to create some sort of connection, right? So that's what I always assume. But it does feel dismissive to, I think, all the things that are carried and experienced, not only in the present, but in the past. It erases, in my mind, a lot of the experience of actual minority groups in the country, right? Yeah, it goes to the same thing like this, right? Like you know that the people talk about this idea that in 2040, 2050, America will be minority majority, right? They're not just talking. The fear is not about the number. The fear is the people who are now outnumbering. They're the minority folks. They are the people of color, and that's that's the thing that has the receipts in America, like racial differences based on phenotypical differences and hair texture and all that kind of thing is a place that we've worked in. And now those people who are of the group that has been the minority and the ones who, sort of stratification within a lower space as far as how we've engaged them are now going to be empowered. That's frightening, right? And so that's, again, going back to the idea of minority just means something different here.
Yeah, that's good. That's good articulation. I think for me, the statement runs the risk of a person feeling like they fully understand.
Yeah, that when they say it, that's what they're trying to say.
So there's nothing else to understand.
Yeah.
When there's a lot more to people's experiences than what they may have just experienced. Yeah. They've experienced the tip of the iceberg and now they think they've got it all. And I think sometimes you hear that and the tone of that or something about what's been said makes it sound like I get it now.
Yeah, I don't need to hear anything else.
And so I don't need to go, I don't need to do anything else. I don't need to learn. Like, no. I don't know that you've got it all just because you...
Right, because you lived in that moment
because you had this experience.
For 3 years.
And so I think for me, like hearing that statement, you run the risk, or I feel like I'm running the risk of having a person stop their journey.
Yeah.
Of understanding because they feel like they've arrived because, I think I got it. Like, no. There's a lot more to this.
Yeah.
Let's keep talking about it. For other people, that it is like that's the entry point. Like that same statement is an entry point for people. I had no idea, but now I have that. Tell me more, right?
Yeah.
Tell me more about your experience because I just had a taste of it. So it could go the other direction. It just depends on who we're dealing with.
All right, it's good. So Chino, you got anything to add into this thought process or?
I was just going to hit on what Antwuan said about you're done learning. Like, I know this experience, so we don't need your voice. And also like an authority of, I've had this experience, so I can speak on it. I can speak for you.
Right.
I know how to deal with it.
Yeah, and almost to the sense of
kind
like...
of shuts down a conversation in
right,
some way,
but there's almost a sense of like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the shutdown is, I've engaged it. I lived through this. I was able to do and achieve all these things. I don't know what the problem is that you guys are experiencing.
That's the dismissive.
Exactly.
Like you're like, you know what? Yeah, I think I got it now. And I think, and again, I the reason I go to women a lot of times when I think about things like this is because I will never be able to understand fully what women continually go through, no matter how much learning I will get. And I think that puts me in the position of that person, where I might be able to say, well, I'm a black person, so I know what it likes to be marginalized. And the women can come to me and say, yeah, but not like we have been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that conversation can just go both ways and not,
not be productive.
Or could, in the wrong way, it could dismiss both experiences as too simple of context to continue thinking through. Yeah. Solve it too quickly, if you will, in people's brains. Or minimize it. Yeah.
That's good.
Anyway,
hey,
there you
good
go.
Stuff. Hey.
So next time you say it,
Schmevin, if you say this, I just need
Schmevin, next time you drop this line, make sure you are curious about the more and not trying to shut this conversation down and slow down trying to represent me in the process.
That's right. Yeah. Schmevin,
I think so. The thing I was thinking about is, most of the time people are saying this because they're trying to relate. Like you said, it's like they're actually trying to relate. And when you shut it down, the problem is sometimes, like you said, you could end up squashing them where they don't want to progress anymore because like, I tried to relate and I got in trouble for trying to relate. So I'll just stop. And for the white male, it's like, well, I can't be female and I can't be minority. And so what can I do to understand this situation? And the reality is the fact that you can't ever get into being on the minority side is probably the closest you'll ever have to experiencing being on the minority side and never being able to get into the white majority. Like it's somewhat of a shared, it's not the same experience, but that frustration of, well, I'll always just be the white man is like, well, yeah, you can't take off your whiteness, just like people in ethnic minorities and gender minorities, they can't ever take off those things either.
Right. So you're feeling that it's not necessarily I understand what it's like to be a minority, but the feelings that you see in how minorities are trying to maneuver the space, frustrations, the angers, you can relate to that sort of frustration and anger by somebody who also is trying to get in and doesn't have a place necessarily, or there's losing place to some extent.
To the conversation that this other person, like, I think what I'm hearing him say is like, I want to cross this bridge, but in some ways I'll never get there.
Right.
And that's frustrating.
And
frustrating as it is for you to not be able to escape the minority.
And maybe not as frustrating. Like, I don't know that. Like, I think that's the danger is when you try to say my frustration's equal to yours, but you start to get a taste, a small taste of what maybe the other side's thinking.
Yeah, I think that's a safe way to say that, Shmevin, on the show. Yeah. I think it's good. It's a good way to do it. And I think one of the things that's really helpful.
Have a brand new producer. No, just joking.
I'll end with this because I think one point you made good points there, Shmevin. But I think one thing that's really helpful for us to think through for those who are, if I can say, actual minorities. That's like, I don't know.
In America,
in America. I think what I heard him say too is like there is a sense in which I'm trying to relate with you, and so when you shoot me down on that, it takes away my impulse to want to go because now I don't know what to do with that.
Almost becomes self-fulfilling prophecy in that context. We're like, hey, I think you're trying to shut down the conversation, and in so doing, you've shut down the conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's we'll work on both sides to not jump to the conclusion, but there is either curiosity or I think I got it now, and it's the arrogance of it. And the truth is, you have to pardon a lot of minorities, Black people, because a lot of people they've experienced the latter more than the former.
Right.
You know, they've experienced people who have told them the dismissive version of this conversation, the non-curious version of this conversation, more than not, and so the reflexes are trained to that, and not to, are you really curious? So don't, just know that some grace may need to be there for everybody.
Grace for Black people, nobody else.
For everybody. No, I was just about to say for everybody. It's grace all around.